Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Manitowoc Garage. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about operation and setup of the new Maxbase feature on Grove domestic products.
Alright folks, now we're inside the crane cabin itself, and we're going to take a look at the RCL display. So the RCL display itself is what's going to house the Maxbase features. We're going to walk through all the different changes that we've made to the screen itself to better utilize one screen operation for a pin boom machine versus bouncing back and forth between the RDM and the ODM for pin boom functionality. One of the important things that I want to discuss is, even though you've ordered Maxbase as an option on your crane, sometimes in bare rental fleets or such, you may still want to run the crane in normal operation. So you can see here, you still have the availability to select rigging codes off the rigging code number, outrigger configuration as shown, of course standard counterweight config, and then in this case we're going to pick 360, which is standard crane operation, right? So this machine is set up for Maxbase, but we're going to look at the RCL if 360 was picked. So other changes that we'll see once we're actually into the working screen is just the layout of the display itself. We've tried to fit things on here and arrange them in a way that they were very easily accessible and noticeable for the operator. So we still have our standard utilization bar. We're showing you the rigging code, of course, and then max versus actual weight, radii, boom angle, boom length, and tip height. Of course, are these boxes across the top. You also have slew angle, and of course wind speed indication if the crane is fitted with it. So since we've picked Maxbase, or since we picked 360, excuse me, you're going to get the standard RCL view of the crane. If you would like to change that, the option is there. You simply come down here to the bottom, and we'll call this the spin box. So if we hit the spin box, it's going to change to one of two options. So in this case, this is Maxbase view number one, or the complete panorama view. So one of the things you'll see here is this is indicating the boom, this is indicating our radii, and then our cutoff for this specific setup at this boom length is out at 62.3 feet. And we can see that that's completely across the panoramic view right now where we sit. What also is illustrated here is, if you will zoom in here slightly, you can see that on the actual inclinometer, which is what this bullseye is representing, is your bubble level, you can see that this yellow line is also the same indication as this yellow line to the left. So this line is indicating the exact position of the boom based off of slew radius, or not necessarily radius, but slew angle. We can also see that there's a dark blue line around the inclinometer right there, and this is actually the view that you are seeing currently here in the pano view. So you are seeing that slew angle inside of this view. So there's a way to break it down and see all four angles. And what I mean by all four angles are, so all four quadrants. The machine is going to be broke down into quadrants, and we've actually colored the outrigger caps. So you can see this purple, like a turquoise, a light blue, and a yellow. These are actually represented on the cranes the same way. So the caps on the jacks will actually be color coordinated to match the RCL display. And this will just be to help the operator in familiarization with where they're at in coordinates to the front of the machine. So if we hit the spin box, again, now you're going to see all four quadrants appear in the diagram. So you can see between dark blue and light blue, which would be here to here, you're good out to 62.3 feet. Between the purple And the yellow, of course, you're also good out to that same measurement. And the reason for that is we're set up on 360, the rigging code 1. Additional things that we've added for functionality of the pin boom machine is now we have all percentages of the boom section shown here, and this orange line is now representing the position of the telescope cylinder itself. So to reconfigure the crane into Maxbase, you would go back to the selection icon, and in this case we'll scroll up to outrigger control, and we're going to pick 8001. So we're going to tell the system that the left two beams are completely retracted. This automatically throws us into an option there where we have to choose Maxbase, because now we have different outrigger configurations other than 100%. At that point in time, we select the check mark. This is the warning symbol that's coming up, basically saying, I see your outriggers are actually at 100%, but you are picking a load chart telling the system that is here. We're using this just as learning purposes, also to show the new symbols that will be seen on the display. This is indicating that this does not match the load chart book, and there is a go back to where I was previously to reconfigure. In this case, we're going to go ahead and bypass through. So now once we get to the Maxbase working screen, we can see we automatically come into the quadrant screen. It's not the retro style that looked previously with the side image of the crane itself. We can now also see an indication here by these hollow dots that the rigging code that we have selected doesn't actually match the linear measurement of the actual outrigger length sensing units. So we have it configured for 0, 0, 100, 100, and it's actually all hundreds. And we're doing this, like I said, just for learning purposes here, so that we can see how Maxbase is cutting us off based on stability of the crane. So now we can see in the quadrant that we're in here, I'm slightly off the right side of the machine. This is indicated here as this is the front. The boom is right here. So a line to my left in slew motion would be the turquoise or light blue. You can see that indicated there. So directly out where I'm at, I'm good to 62.9 feet, but as I approach that outrigger jack and I go beyond it, my radius will then decrease in. The other thing that Maxbase does is it takes accountability for backward stability. So also in the same position that I'm in right now, based on the fact that I have decided to tell the machine that my left side jacks are at 0, the control system is telling me that I have a backward stability point. So as I'm booming up, my boom is going to become shorter and it's going to draw towards this line. We'll start the machine now. And you can see that we're approaching the backward stability portion of the chart. And we've reached the lockout. To come back out of the lockout, you would simply boom back down into a permissible range of radius and boom angle. As I showed you in the 360 view, or the 360 rigging code, there is 3 different views. The other view that I showed you was all 4 slew ranges. So by selecting the spin box, you can see all 4 ranges in comparison to your outrigger jacks themselves. So as I said, color coordinated where we are right now. Basically over the right side between the purple and turquoise cap, we're good out to 62 feet, as that's configured to 100% outrigger length. And then as we would come around to the front or over the rear, we could see we step down here slightly. So over the rear, the crane is a little more stable on this specific machine. And then as we get to the other side, which we have configured at 0%, naturally our radii shrinks way into a 30.2 foot on both those sides versus the 62.7 that we're setting out now. I showed the lockout coming up for, as I said, reverse stability. Swinging into a lockout would then naturally work the same, and we can represent that here by coming around. So as I approach the left side of the crane, we're seeing that I'm already at a 34.4 foot radius and I'm only good for 29.8. So as I hit that position, I naturally should become locked out. So the beep is progressively more and more and more until it eventually comes to a smooth stop. Naturally, to come back out, you just come the opposite direction, and it will release you back into a permissible working range. Once again, as I said, when you're in Maxbase, you only have the availability to view the pano screen. We take the traditional side view of the crane away, as it's necessary for the operator to be able to see the positions in which he's at as he's slewing throughout the entire slew 360 angle of the machine. So you've got entire pano of all 4 quadrants, or the selection of just the quadrant you're in and the one to the right and or left.
Well folks, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this video was educational, helps clear up some questions about the new Maxbase feature, and as always, tune back in for new episodes in the future.